Okay. Hi everyone, this is SmithyQ from SmithyQ.com, and I'm here to look at this game analysis today. This is a game that I played against Steve 18712. I did an analysis for him earlier. This game it's all over the map. What can I say? I played terribly. I played incredibly badly, and to the point where I'm rated 2100, my opponent is rated in the 1500s, and he was winning just about this entire game, and it took a miracle for me to get a draw. And that's the honest truth. I played incredibly badly, and I had to use every trick in the book to salvage a point. And so, well, let's take a look, and then we can see, the nature of my mistakes. It's no fun looking at these games, believe me. My eyes bleed when I go through some of my moves here, but it's important. That's how I'm going to get better. And if I make these type of mistakes, right, 2100, then any people lower than me, right, probably make the same type. Well, maybe not. This one's a doozy. Anyway, let's take a look. So the opening here was the Scandinavian defense, e4 d5, and I was black. Sorry, so we'll be looking at it from white's perspective mostly. And this is believe it or not, an opening that I've played quite a bit. This Queen A5 variation. After d4, knight f6, it's move 5. White plays kind of a sideline, bishop d2. I used to know the theory quite well, but I haven't played this opening in, gosh, a very long time. But again, I was rated, 600 points higher than my opponent, so I thought, whatever, I'll just make it up as I go. And then here in this position, I remember there's a rule, as a black, is that in the Queen A5, you develop your knight, then you play c6. You just do that against just about everything. That's just what you do. And then you develop the rest of your pieces. And I remember this. I remember finding that rule out in my head, and then I couldn't remember why it existed. And I said, you know what? I'll just develop a piece first. I'll develop my bishop, and then I'll play c6. Do you see my thought process there? Was I calculating? Was I doing anything? No. I was sitting there trying to remember, trying to think, I know there's this thing I'm supposed to do, and I even remembered it. I knew exactly what I knew exactly what the right move was, and I played this instead. Because I said, what's the difference? I didn't even try to calculate. And then, well, my opponent plays his next move, Queen f3, and suddenly I'm looking kind of silly, because the queen's attacking the bishop, and the queen's attacking the pawn. It's forking a pawn. And I'm going, whoops. And already, the only move for black in this position is to move the bishop all the way back. So I've lost not just one tempo, I've lost two tempo, because the bishop had to move twice to go back to the original position. And, frig. But it's odd. In the game, I never even thought of that move. Bishop, it wasn't even there in my consciousness. The idea of moving it back, it just... I couldn't do it. The idea of admitting I had made a mistake, especially because, again, I was so much higher rated. And so I just played c6. Now I played it. The idea, of course, is that the queen defends the bishop here. Now, I was looking at the line. I was analyzing, right? I wanted to make sure I wasn't losing instantly. And the main line I looked at was knight e4, where the bishop is attacking the queen. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I can retreat. Wait, no, that'd be terrible. I'd lose the bishop. So I can go here. Wow, the computer is really nice. I can go, aha, here we go. And then after some sort of exchange, right, boom, boom, boom. I've got a terrible pawn structure, but I'm living. Right, I can survive. I don't know if I can win this game. It'll be kind of tough because I've just got weaknesses everywhere. But this bishop's okay, right? This is the type of thing I was looking at. I did not look at any move besides knight e4, which is silly. And then my opponent Steve, he just played something fantastic. He played b4. Exclamation mark. He distracts my queen. There's no square my queen can go to still protect the bishop. And here it is. It's move 7. And I've lost a piece. Simple as that. There's nothing I can do. And so I said, okay, desperation time. I'll get 2 pawns for the piece. So I took one pawn, took the other pawn. So maybe I can do something. But then again, my opponent, he played the best move. Queen c8. Check. I have to retreat. He wins one pawn back. He's defending. He's attacking my rook. Knight comes out. He wins the second pawn. And I probably could have resigned here. I should have resigned here. If I were rated, if my opponent was closer rated to me, right? So even if it was, 17, maybe even 1600, I'd probably resign. But he's 1400. And also, this game was unrated, so I'm not really going to lose any rating points. And if I resign here, because I was so much higher rated, and I am higher rated, there's a chance that I can trick him, that I can create problems that he'll be very hard to solve. So I want him to earn this victory. This is a similar thing that you'll see in Blitz, is often you'll win a piece early on, but your opponent doesn't resign. Instead, he just goes nuclear. He tries to throw all his pieces at your king, and if he succeeds, he pulls off a miracle, a swindle. And I've done this once or twice in my day. So I said, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. And so what do I need to do here? I played e6. And so my strategy is simple. I'm going to develop my bishop. I'm going to castle. And I'll try and launch a desperate attack against his king. There's only one way white can lose this game. Or rather, there's only one way white will not win. And that's if he were to dilly-dally and leave his king unprotected. That's it. This king is the only potential weakness, because as we can see, there's a lot of open lines, right? White has taken 3 of my pawns, right? I've taken 3 of his pawns, so things are wide open. The bishops, the rooks, they can have open lines, and the king is here on e1. He doesn't want to castle queenside, right? So he's going to castle kingside. He's at least 3 tempi away, and so what I want to do is I want to castle and attack his king. White's got the easiest job in the world here. All white needs to do is go knight f3, bishop e2, castle, and I'd probably resign. Because he's so well protected, and I can't do anything. Like, how do I break through that? My pieces aren't even ready to attack. That's all white has to do. And if white does that, he wins effortlessly. I don't even know how I create a threat here. I don't know. What did white do? Okay, he played rook d1. Now this is interesting because several of his moves coming up are the computer's first choice or it's the top 3 choices, but it's hard to here the computer doesn't really help because white is winning so much that he could play like f3 and king f2 practically, and he's still got a winning position. Maybe, I don't know. Let's just maybe check the computer. Let's just see. Okay, let's, the computer says bishop b4. What happens after king f2? Oh, nope, okay. So, white can't quite do everything, right? But it's close. He's got such a huge advantage. And so the computer doesn't really help in this case. All we have to think about as white, castle. Get your king safe, you win easy. You played rook d1. Which makes perfect sense, right? The rook is eyeing up the queen. Maybe this knight is pinned. Maybe we get some sort of, bishop b4 action over here. Start trading pieces, happens, right? I mean, it's a good idea. The computer likes this move, and it's a good move, but it's the wrong idea. It doesn't help our king, right? In fact, it even takes away the d1 square from the king if it had to run away later. We want a castle. Just watch. 3 more moves now. So I move my rook in. I move my bishop. He plays knight f3. I castle. So I've got my stage of the plan. And now, what does white need to do? Again, all you need to do, white, is play bishop e2 and castle. That's it. And my pieces are in no position to attack. What do I do? How do I go in? Your queen can always slide over to h4. Or anywhere on this, the 4th rank to protect the king if you need to be. But I've got nothing. And it's in this position where white played queen takes a7. And for the first time, this is the move where I had hope. Because what does this pawn mean to me? This pawn means absolutely nothing. You can win all my pawns. I don't care about my pawns. I'm going to lose anyway. I'm down a whole piece for nothing. Why are you grabbing material? Why are you leaving your king in the center? Now, the computer likes this move. I think it's its third best move. At some point, if you let it think only for a few seconds, it's its first move. Because the computer can defend perfectly. And now, does this move lose, taking the pawn? No, but all of a sudden I've got hope. Okay? Suddenly I've got a chance to start attacking. I get a chance to move my pieces more aggressively. Again, you play bishop e2, you castle. I've got nothing. Absolutely nothing. He takes the pawn. So now I bring my bishop out. Now my bishop is staring at f2, the weakest point. It's attacking the queen. Queen has to move again. After queen b6, I go, now I come in. Queen b6, and now I've got this battery. All right? Look what's happened the last two moves. We just look at this position, right? Then we look at this position. So white hasn't moved at all, and all of a sudden black has got two pieces here. Ooh, white probably wishes he had castled now, right? Now again, I need to stress this. This entire time I'm losing, and I'm losing until, like, the 30th move, right? Like, we're talking about, like, +4 advantage for white. It's insane how much I'm losing here. And I don't actually play the best moves most of the time, because, well, if I play the best moves, I'm still losing, right? The only thing I need to do is create threats, and I need to put pressure, because if I can make my opponent make mistakes, I can start taking advantage. That's it. Just apply pressure. That's all I'm thinking about. My opponent, he finds a good move. In fact, one I'd even consider. I'll be honest, I'm not really calculating variations at this point, because everything I calculate is losing. What I'm doing is I'm trying to see where are his weaknesses. What can I do? What can I probe? What can I make him overreact? When he took the pawn, I was able to get my bishop, my queen here. Classic attacking squares. He attacks my queen, right? And so, if I take the pawn, I'll have to probably... It's not going to work now. I don't want to do that. Just for example, he goes here. I've got to keep my queen on the long diagonal. Or on this diagonal, or otherwise I lose another piece. But there's no good square for my queen. None at all. The only safe square would be queen c5, then after rook b5... Again, the only square where I don't lose instantly would be here. Now this is, again, this is the computer thinks it's best play because I've regained a pawn, right? But by exchanging queens, I've lost any chance of giving white a hard time. There's no pressure here. White will move his king somewhere, wherever, bring his bishop out, bring his rook out. He's got two passed pawns on the queen side. Not to mention he's up a piece. He wins easy. So it doesn't matter if this is best play. It doesn't make sense to play this. I don't even consider it. Well, for a couple seconds, right? Can I get my queen out? No. Okay, something else. So I move my queen over. Queen d6. And again, I just want to think about threats. I've got, I'm eyeing this bishop, so maybe my rook can come down. I've got pressure on the d file, maybe. Maybe I can get my queen to d4 and attack f2 if the knight moves. I'm eyeing h2 if he does castle, so maybe I can do something like this, and I got a battery, right? And this is just the most aggressive square I can go. Now again, what does white need to do? Bishop e2 and castle. Do that and you're fine. He plays bishop d3. Now again, this is a fine move, but it's kind of it's not the easiest move, and that's what you want. You're up a piece. What's the easiest move? You put the bishop in front of the king, right? So it's blocking potential checks. It's defending this knight, and it's just a very safe square. Because if we look what happens in the game, he plays bishop d3, and so I've got to think of a threat. What's the only way I can make a threat? I play knight e5. So now I'm attacking the bishop, right? Get rid of that. One to defend. I'm also attacking the knight. So if you were to castle, knight takes, pawn takes, right? All of a sudden your king's a bit weaker. That's not so much fun for you. Maybe I got real threats here. Maybe, right? It's something. Of course I don't. You can hold this almost effortlessly, but it's not effortlessly. And all of a sudden, this doesn't look comfortable, doesn't feel comfortable. And again, that's my only goal. Make you feel uncomfortable so you can make mistakes. You take, I take my queen, then you retreat bishop e2, where the bishop should have been all along, right? So that's another tempo that I've gained here. I play bishop d6. And the idea here is that you can't castle now. If you do castle, you're going to, you get checkmated. That'd be kind of nice for me, right? And also, well, again, that's it. And again, it doesn't make sense for me to talk about what is the best move. It's just, I want to create threats. You guys see if you can survive. You play rook b5. And then here, you play the best move again, according to the computer. Rook b5, knight d5. And already, again, I've got hope in this position. Because now things, like, there's tactics in the air. Like, knight takes, rook takes, queen, everything's aiming at this c3. Your king's still in the center. If this knight moves, my king and queen can come all the way down to a1. Check. Which, could be quite bad. The disadvantage of your rook move, right, is you abandon the first rank. Now again, the computer, it says you're winning easily. But I got chances here. Chances, right? Things are looking up for the first time since, like move 5. Oh my goodness. You played this. The computer hates this move, but this is the right idea because you're trying to exchange queens. And again, the computer points out, and I saw this, I tried to make this work so much. Rook takes. So now your queen doesn't have a defender. Well, you take, I take, you take, take, take. We got a position like this, where all of a sudden material isn't so bad. What is it? You've got 5 pawns, I've got 4, you're up in exchange. Considering I was down a piece to start, this is a big improvement. Unfortunately, I looked at this position, and to me it just looks dead lost. I'm doing better compared to being really dead, but I'm still dead because you'll get your you can play bishop f3 in exchange anytime if you felt like it. You're going to put your rooks behind your pawns and you're going to push them. And what can I do? If I'm super incredibly lucky and I'm Magnus Carlsen at the endgame, maybe I can do something to hold it. Maybe. But I couldn't see it. And to me it looked too easy. It looked too easy for white. And so if I were to play this, to me, this whole line with after queen e4, rook takes c3, which is best play according to the computer, is again, it's tantamount to resignation. Right? Why should I grovel in an inferior endgame that's likely losing for 20 moves when I could, instead, I play queen f6, I try and keep queens on the board, so that way I can do something, so I can try and take advantage of mistakes. And if I do lose, I'll lose much quicker, right? And again, this entire time I'm lost. All I need to think about is create threats. And then here, finally, the pressure, it had mounted so much that my opponent, he cracks. He plays knight takes d5, pawn takes d5, queen d3, which makes sense. It makes perfect sense. At this point, he's starting to realize he doesn't want to take this pawn, because that's just another open line. I'm going to have a rook slide over the d-file. It's eyeing his queen, eyeing his bishop. Again, the queen wants to come all the way down to a1 still. Things are looking good. Queen d3. That was your move. Now, to be honest, at this point, I was starting to get pretty excited. The best move is queen f3. Again, offering exchange of queens. And the idea here is after check, the bishop here, the queen is also defending the bishop, right? So that means even after a check, right, you could move your king and the bishop doesn't fall. It gives you this extra option. Of course, the best move would be probably bishop e3 anyway. Right? That's the... You're not... Right? You're keeping all your material. When you played queen d3 instead, your queen actually does nothing here. Nothing at all. I sneak in, check, check. And we can see here, Again, what did I say at the very beginning? This is move 10. Here, now it's 11. Okay, move 12. Where you played rook d1 back here. And again, you're completely winning. Absolutely completely winning. But you didn't need to play this yet. You could have played rook d1 like much later. All you had to do was bishop e2, knight f3, castle. And now we look, where are we? Now we're on move 25. Where rook e8 comes. Your king is still in the center. What was that? Nearly 15 moves. And you hadn't had a chance to do that when you could have done it easily. Right? We need to have the right focus in chess. And we need to realize right here, you know, it's move, what? It's move 7. You've just won a piece. And then you've even won all your pawns back. So I have next, I don't even have, like compensation is a distant dream of mine. Right? Again, I could resign at any point in the next 15 moves and it's completely justified. If white just does the simple thing. You don't need to win more material. You don't need to put more pressure on me. Knight f3, bishop e2, castle. That's the right approach. Get to this position. Check. Bishop e3, d4. Look at that. Queen protects the pawn. Queen is pinning this. This bishop is pinned. Look how all my pieces have gotten in play, whereas white, he still has this rook stuck in the corner. So even though he's up a piece, he's technically playing without a rook. This rook isn't doing much over here. All of my pieces are doing something, right? And I'm cashing in now. Now the computer still thinks white's going to hold, white's going to be amazing here, right? But this is a lot harder, and this is not what white wanted after he won a piece on move 7, right? He castled, which is the right move. I took my piece, and then here, bishop g4, which is the move that turns it from a win into a draw-ish position. What's the right move? Now again, this position, it's kind of scary. In that, or if you don't calculate 100% correctly, then it can seem very scary. For instance, after queen takes, rook slides over, rook's attacking the queen, rook's attacking the bishop. This pawn is starting to come down. E2, it looks incredibly dangerous. Scary. Another possibility is that in this position, instead of taking the bishop, maybe we just take the pawn. All right. Again, the rook's going to slide over. Now we're threatening bishop takes h2 with discovery attack against the queen. Again, if the queen moves somewhere, e2 say, right? Well, again, the bishop can move, and now the rook is also attacking the queen, right? Or I can bring the queen over here, f6, h4, attack the pawn. There's a lot of pressure here, right? Scary. But if that's how you think, that's how you start losing. We need to actually look at the concrete threats. And honestly, if you look at this, black has pressure, but what's my threat in this position? Okay, maybe I move my bishop somewhere. Bishop f4? Really? I don't know. Well, where do I move my bishop? Okay, this move is the move that jumps out in my head, but do I have a threat here? Not really. What's my next fault? What's my next move? More to the point, if we were to back up. Right here. Sorry. D takes e3. F takes e3. Rook d8. Rook d5, where we neutralize the pressure on the open file. Rook's protecting the queen. Rook's protecting the bishop. Things are okay. Things are more than okay. Right? But we need to calculate. We need to calculate accurately. And when white instead, he plays bishop g4, which looks brilliant because now the rook is attacking the queen and the bishop's attacking the rook. Right? So it looks like we're going to win the exchange. What this does, though, is it gives me time. And I was able to play pawn takes, king takes. And then, in fact, here, I saw the next variation. I saw the draw, and so I played it immediately. I wasn't even, I didn't even look. If I were looking harder, I would have seen rook takes c2 check. And all of a sudden, black is almost winning in this position. For instance, if you take the rook, well, it's actually, what, mate in 2? Check, checkmate. Holy cow. Just like that. So that would mean you can't take it. Again, this rook's controlling this file. You can't move. Something like this. And all of a sudden, I'm not down material. I'm actually up a pawn. I've got pressure against g2. It's opposite colored bishops, which means if you can trade queens, you'll have a draw. But as long as it's still this middle-ish game position, I've got the attack. And maybe I can do something. In fact, I very much like my chances, especially as a higher rated player. At the same time, though, this entire game, I've been obsessed with one idea, and that's to not lose to someone rated 600 points lower than me. And so when I saw the following draw, or likely draw, I played it essentially instantly. So after king takes f2, I bring my queen out of the way, f6 check. Only one move really makes sense. You bring the queen back. Now I'm sliding in. I'm attacking the bishop, and I'm threatening mate on h2, or at least disaster on h2. That prompts the following exchange. Take, take. White then plays the best move, queen d5, which is attacking the pawn, double attack. And then I played queen e6 almost instantly. If I would have looked a bit harder, I would have played queen c4, which is the same idea, but it's better. We'll see why in a second, actually. But I played queen e6, then after take, we're in an endgame. Now this isn't as easy as I first thought it was, to be perfectly honest. But it's a rook endgame where I'm only down a pawn. Again, I was down a piece, I'm down a pawn. Oh, I'm so happy. So happy. And it's not easy for white to win this position. Well, again, what did Tarash say? All rook endgames were drawn. It's a joke, right? But I mean, it's incredibly difficult to convert these in practice. In this position, though, white's got some chances, especially because he can play c4 here, and I can't take the pawn because of, whoops, back rank mate. And if I do something like this, right, again, it doesn't really matter, right? Because, again, I can't take the pawn because of the back rank mate, the same thing, right? And so this gives white, I have to spend a tempo. Okay, maybe I play king f8. We get something like this. I can't really attack the other pawn. And maybe white can do something here. If we compare that, if we go back, instead of playing, if I were to play queen c4 here, and then we exchange queens this way, I'm attacking the pawn, and I can win the pawn. There's no back rank problems because my rook is still back here, right? And you can attack, defend, and then now the pawn can't move. It can't go forward. And if he tries to push this pawn, I can take it, right? This was the most accurate way to play. This was it. My opponent, he did not do that, though. He played rook fb1, which is kind of a waste of a tempo. It doesn't really do anything in this position. And once I play g6, so again, I don't lose by back rank. I now block the pawn. Here I offer a draw. This position it's drawn. That's just the way it is. It's a rook endgame. I'm going to get my queen over. There's even material as long as yeah. And my opponent, he rightly said, can we play on? I said, yeah, sure. No, skin off my back. We both bring our kings out. It's here, king b5, rook over f6. Here, Steve, this is in the endgame. What was your? When you played rook c1 here, it's the least accurate move. And all of a sudden, I was kind of thinking, hey, I wonder if I've got chances here. Because your only idea with that is after check, and my rook's here. Now I'm kind of threatening to take all these pawns. For instance, a6, king b8. If you were to advance the king, I could go check, win a pawn. And what do you do next? It still is a draw. It is, but it's not so easy. This could be actually, the computer says that like all 4 of White's legal moves here are. You can play h3, you can play h4, you can play a7, you can move the king anywhere. All of them are still drawn, says the computer, which is fascinating how they calculate this stuff, right? But things can be tough. At the same time, I had no interest in trying to win this position because I did not deserve to win this game, which is why in this position on king b6, we agreed to a draw. What's the lesson behind this game? What can we take away? And the main thing here is one, even though I'm rated 2100, is I can be a pretty terrible chess player at times. I can suck hard. I can make just as easy mistakes. And again, why did I make this mistake here? Instead, I played bishop f5. I wasn't even thinking. I wasn't thinking, and that let my opponent punish me. Even here, I wasn't thinking. I just played c6. And then after b4, brilliant move. And right, things are looking fantastic. It's right here. This is it. How often have you been up material? Have you had a winning position and then you didn't win? And usually it's because your opponent does what I did, right? I made a lot of essentially dubious moves according to the computer. Perfect play was going to punish me. All you have to do is play knight f3, bishop e2, castle. You consolidate, then you win, right? You don't give me a chance to launch my crazy attack. But we don't do that. We bring the rook over, which is an okay move. And then like we win a pawn, which technically is okay, but it's the wrong focus. And if we focus on the wrong things, that's how we lose. So I just spent half an hour showing, how bad I can play. But then also the correct idea when you get into this position where there's only one thing I need to do. Create some threats, right? I could go 10 more moves, and if my opponent plays correctly, he castles and I've got no attack, I can resign at any point. But if he doesn't, I get a chance. And so we're going to be on both sides of this coin. Some days we're going to be winning. Well, we know what to do. We consolidate, we castle, then we win easily. Conversely, if we're on the other side, and that's going to happen, it happens to me, it happens to us all. Maybe not Carlson, right? But it happens to us all. What do? Before we resign, we create as many threats as we can. Just create threats. It's a good exercise. We're going to lose anyway, right? But maybe we don't. And I was able to salvage this somehow, right? So that's it. Hopefully this does not become a regular feature, but every game that I lose, I'm going to analyze deeply. I did not actually lose this game, so this is kind of a superficial analysis, right? But at the same time, I was lost on move 7, and so it's kind of hard to analyze this. Hopefully that thought process is helpful. Hopefully you found this useful, and hopefully I never repeat this mistake again. So again, I'm SmithyQ, SmithyQ.com. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I've got some more videos coming up. I'm going to analyze some more of my games that I've played. Again, I've actually lost the game in 20-odd moves, so it's slightly better than this game, but I fully lost it, so look for that analysis soon. Again, it's no fun analyzing your losses, but it's going to make you a better player in the long run. It really does. Okay, so again, comment, like, subscribe. You can do that if you want. Message me on chess.com, or you can visit my blog, and I'm happy to talk chess. That's it. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.